Hello everyone, my name is Marcos Cortez and welcome to my YouTube channel for class CIS 3367 with Professor Wheeler. Now this is my midterm video. Yes, I know I am starting off on macOS, but do not worry, we're going to be jumping to Windows OS where we'll be able to use Power View and as well be able to properly load our dashboard because of course we have our limitations here in macOS. Now to start off, this is where I got my data from. It's the US Department of Transportation website, data.bts.gov, in specific the Bureau of Transportation Statistics. Now essentially, this data contains data from January all the way up to August of 2020, the first 8 months. And essentially, we're going to be looking at the impact of COVID in terms of bike share and e-scooters, both docked and dockless, plus the e-scooters. Now, in general, we're going to be able to see the data, the red data that was provided to us by the Bureau of Transportation Statistics. So this is the data that we basically downloaded from the website. Now, one thing I really liked about this data is I actually include specific coordinates that we could plug into Google Maps and will show the exact location of each shop. Each shop that we're able to rent out a bike or e-scooter, depending on which services they provide. Now we're able to see the data by place ID as well, their ID and their year place ID, which starts off with the month, the year, and their place ID following after. Now, which is data that we're not really going to be using right now for this project, but moving into what we're actually going to be using is going to be city, state, the state info. We're going to be using month as a filter, and basically these are just notes as to what month they close down and whatnot. Now moving into our Power View. Now to start off, we're going to start off in Power View number 2. We're going to be looking at the data of total scooters open by state. It's supposed to be state, but because we were playing around with it earlier, um, we kind of forgot to to switch up the data again, the access. Essentially, we're going to be starting off with seeing the amount of scooter stations open by state. Now, of course, this is just quote unquote a basic pie chart or bar chart, but the real magic happens when we load it in maps. Now, this is going to be a Bing's map. It's your classic Google Maps, but you can do the same thing, similar things. You're able to zoom all the way in. Now, this is by state. We're able to see how many stations are open by state. So, in California being one of the few states in which scooter renting is very predominant. So, this is one. Now, we have a state like Utah that has 48, and also a state like Nevada that essentially has zero scooter stations for you to rent from. Now this is where we started playing with the map. Now adding state to locations, adding city and removing state sorted out by state. Now as to why we have data outside of the United States, it's a very good question. I'm not sure if it's something to do with the Bing Maps and the way it loads some data, but majority of the locations provided in the data in the raw data is from the United States. So here we're able to see, the states, see by states, see which states have stations, and now majority of upstate here in our area, it's somewhat rare to see spots with rentals per se. Like in Boston, we have 0. In Salem, we have 5. But in other spots like here, 0. We have 8. So I guess it depends by the city and if it meets their needs. So now let's say, for example, here, we're able to zoom in thanks to the city and the coordinates provided. we're able to zoom in precisely into the location or the area where we can find the scooter stations. So this would be one, and we're gonna do something similar when it comes to the bikes. So you see, for bikes we have both docked and a dockless option. Now we're seeing the total throughout the year, but we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna jump over to map. Now, interesting thing I noticed when I was playing with the map is that whenever we change over to the map, we are losing the option of being able to see the dock list count. Now, this is same thing, switch state with city and be able to get a more precise ping of each shop and whatnot. But in this case, we're gonna be moving around the size. So we're gonna replace dock with dockless, and you see how the data moves around. Like, let's say for dockless we have 66 in Cali, and if we go back here and switch it over to regular docks, we have 38. So we have more dockless options than docked, which for Cali it might be better suited for them, but for other states it might not. Now I'm running through our pivot tables and the charts we have laid out here. Now every of these charts have a copy in dashboard. So here basically our basic setup, the pivot tables, and same thing throughout. So here we have total open, we'll be able to see it by state in this case, suspended by state, closed by state, open, this is going to be a line graph. Now the thing of this one is that we're able to see it by city as well. Well, this one's by state, and then this following one is by city, which is why it looks so messy. But thanks to slicers and filters, we're able to condense all of that information and make it look very pretty to the eye and not so heavy. Now let's remove that for now, and we're gonna focus on these charts. Now, due to sake of time, we're gonna run through a couple of these, but essentially the title is pretty self-explanatory. Total open by state, closed, and suspended. We're gonna look at these three charts right now, in which this one right here, the size for city, is currently not needed. So we're gonna move that over there. Now here we can see by month. It'll sort and reorganize the data, but we don't want to see everything all together. We want to focus, let's say, by state. We're gonna focus on California, and this is one of my favorite states to focus on because of how more predominant the scooter services are than bikes. For some reason, we have all in all a total of 159 spots open for scooters. We have a total of 106 suspended and just a total of 4 closed. So by the 8th month, we have a total of 20 open, a total of 11 closed, and a total of 1 closed. So essentially, it's not too bad. You can see the impact of COVID for sure, and we'll definitely be able to see the impact even more when we change our focus over to the line graph right here. So this one here on top, which is by state. So here, this one right here, it's organized by state, but it's line graph focused by months. So with this being said, we are going to be looking into the chart as to how many were open by month. We had basically 36 open by the second month, and once the pandemic started hitting, we had a total of 10 open. So basically, a total of 26 of these shops for scooters closed in Cali. Well, not closed, but suspended their services. Later on, we see that as the summer gets near, summer's essentially there in certain areas. We see that in total, 6 more spots were open from the beginning of the pandemic in March. And essentially by month number 8, we had a total of 20 of these places reopen. Now we move down here, we see this data by city. Now here it looks super crowded and whatnot, but for sake of time, we're gonna make this a little quicker. We're just gonna stay focusing on Cali as well. So we jump into San Diego, we're able to see how the city of San Diego reacts throughout the whole pandemic in terms of the scooter. And same thing here. Now, for some reason, and for a good reason, I hope, for dockless, the stations remain open all throughout the year. So they were still getting their traffic maybe a little lower, but just enough to remain open. For docked stations, we have zero. We had zero open in general. Now, for scooters at the beginning, by the third month, all of them closed down. Fourth month, one was able to reopen, and going forward, by the summer, month 6, all of them were open again. So we kind of see how these places were able to bounce back due to the demand and popularity. And now we switch cities over, like San Jose. We have one open, pandemic hit, they closed down. Month 8, they still haven't opened up, so that could be one of the one of the few stations that actually closed down. Essentially, that's just a quick rundown on the data. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to message me or put it in the comments. And of course, thank you guys for watching.